Hello, this is an early years speech and language therapy tutorial. How do I make a referral to speech and language therapy? My name is Jo Colwill. I'm one of the early years speech and language therapists. This series of bite-sized tutorials is intended to give early years practitioners easy to access information in short chunks so you can get to know more about what speech and language therapists do, build your knowledge and understanding of children's communication development, and gain ideas about how you can help children develop these skills in your early years setting. Ideally, you will have already completed the tutorials called What Do We Mean by Speech and Language Development, Ages and Stages of Speech and Language Development, and What Should I Consider Before Making a Referral to Speech and Language Therapy. In this tutorial, I'll give you a step-by-step guide to completing the early years speech and language therapy form. I'll give you information about where to find the form, where to send the referral, and contact details for other services in case you need to make alternative or additional referrals. So first of all, where can you find the referral form? Well, that's pretty straightforward. Go to the CLCH Children's Speech and Language Therapy website, the link is at the bottom of the page here, and look under the tab called Referral Information. You'll find both electronic and print versions there, so you can choose whichever suits you best. Here's the first part of the referral form. This is mostly factual information about the child, their family, and other health professionals. And you'll almost certainly need to get some information from the child's parent or carer to fill this in, so it may be worth considering arranging a time when you can fill the referral form in together. The second part details your concerns. Again, you should have already discussed these with the child's parents or carers, so this can be another opportunity to think about the concerns together. Please give examples of each area of difficulty. This helps us to know what to expect when we see them. It doesn't have to be a technical description, just an example of what you've observed. It's especially helpful if you can tell us how the child's difficulties are impacting them in different settings. For example, some children might have very little language, but be quite confident in approaching other children to play and joining in with nursery activities. Another child with the same level of language might feel anxious about approaching other children or adults because they're worried they will not be understood. If you've completed the tutorial about what to consider before making a referral, you'll hopefully now see why it was so important to gather the information suggested. There's quite a lot of detail here, but it's important that you fill in as much as you can through discussion with the parents and carers. Please make sure you have parental consent. We cannot accept a referral if this has not been gained and documented. This part of the form should start to look familiar if you've completed the other tutorials. This part is basically the same as the early years speech and language therapy monitoring tool, without the areas for concern part. Start completing the form at the age band which relates to the child's current age in years and months. If a child has just had a birthday, you might want to look at the age band younger than them. Similarly, if a child is coming up to a birthday, you might want to check the age band older than them. For premature babies, please note that you need to consider the child's corrected age. This applies up to the time the child turns 2 years old. Judgments should be based on the observations you've made over a period of time, for instance, using the speech and language therapy monitoring tool. This should include observations of what the child does and says in a range of contexts, and information from the family about what the child does and says at home. Within each age band, a judgment will be made on whether a child shows each of the behaviours described. There are 3 boxes: most of the time, sometimes, or not yet. Tick the box that best describes what the child can currently do. If a child shows most of the behaviours in an age band, sometimes or not yet, it will be helpful to complete the age band younger than them, or even below that, until you reach the band at which you can tick most of the time for the majority of skills. It can be helpful to underline or circle the child's chronological age band to highlight where there is a difference in the child's actual age and their level of communication development. Finally, please give us your details, including your relationship to the child, for instance, if you're their key worker, if you're the nursery manager or the SENCO, when the referral was completed and how we can contact you. Send the completed referral by post or secure email. Remember, this form will contain personal information, so please make sure you adhere to your organisation's information governance policy. Ask a colleague if you're not sure. And finally, here are some useful contacts and information about access to other services you may need. For instance, the Child Development Service, or speech and language therapy, eating and drinking difficulties. See the links. Thanks for listening. I hope you found this tutorial helpful.